Hey everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Solo. I've been in esports for about 10 years. I played in LCS for 6 years. I played for teams like TSM, C9, FlyQuest, and I'm here to just kind of give you some, broader tips and kind of expectations for what it takes to be a pro, kind of getting into your esports career. All right, so the number one thing is obviously you have to be high elo. You're gonna have to play high elo to get noticed and to also just play the game professionally. And a lot of people wonder, like, how do I, when do I know if I'm going to be good enough or how long should I play and my expectations? And I think the big thing is if you are into your second year of playing the game and you're kind of nearing like a 10,000 hour mark, if you're not challenger or radiant by that time, you might just not have, the talent needed. Most of the pros that I've seen and talked to, and my own experience, when are in that second year is when you should start getting into the high elo and being able to play with other pros or other like aspiring pros. So you get into high elo, right? And oh my god, you're playing with double lift or you're playing with like tens, and you're finally, kind of in the big leagues in a sense. What now, And the big thing is you need to join the high elo community. Like you need to familiarize yourself with the people involved. And that means adding people after games that you like and becoming friends and maybe even being able to talk to like other pro players and scouts and analysts and coaches for teams, just becoming more than just a random nameplate or just some LP pinata for other players. And a lot of this is going to be your reputation too. You want to make sure that you're like a fun person to play with. You want to make sure that you're not toxic, most importantly, because these reputations really stick with you. And if you're someone who just is fun to play with, takes games seriously, is good at the game, and then you start talking to people, getting improvement, getting advice from them, it will help you really so much in the long run because in the next step when you're getting on teams, the people who are going to make these decisions are the people in the community. And if you are, a good player and they like you, they're going to pick you up for your teams. All right, so now you need to get on a team to really like actually start your esports career. And how do you do that? Well, hopefully at this point people will start to reach out for you, probably your friends or people you know in the community, and they'll start to ask you to be in their amateur tournaments or be in like a B tier league, and start playing for them, which is really great and the easiest way to go about it. Or you could start your own if you haven't been able to get recruited. You can bring people that you like, you think are good, or your friends, and apply for these tournaments. And then you need to start climbing the kind of secondary ladder, which is getting onto better and better teams as you progress your career. And if you look at mine, for example, I started out on some pretty mediocre teams, and I just tried to be the standout or the best player for those teams, and then get onto the next better team, and then get on the next better team. And slowly you climb this ladder until you get into kind of, the LCS or the tier one league of whatever esports you're part of. Now, some people are really fortunate and they can kind of go straight from solo queue or a very limited, B tier career, and they get into the higher elos or higher leagues rather. And that's totally great. And if that's you, that's awesome. But most players are going to have to grind it out for some period of time. It took me a few years of playing in Challenger, or Amateur, for instance, before I was invited to be a part of the LCS. And I think that those years are really formative. You need to learn how to play with players and learn how to be on a team and learn kind of what it's like to just be a pro. Because at the end of the day, being a pro is a job, and it's like you have to take it as a job and take it seriously. A lot of people get involved just because they love playing the game or they just love playing video games. And they don't realize until they're actually a part of the scene that it's not really that much about playing the video games. Like, yes, that is the job. But at the end of the day, it's about dealing with coaches, dealing with the feedback, dealing with other players, all these interpersonal relationships, dealing with the fans. These things, it's like keeping a schedule, keeping like a rigorous routine. These things are all really important, and I've seen a lot of people who burn out quickly just because they didn't really think they were signing up for that. They thought they were just signing up for playing games all day, when it's really not about that. The last thing I want to touch on is probably the most important thing when it comes to giving your career some longevity is going to be branding, and it's going to be streaming and building yourself like a social media presence. Number one, it's really important to do this just because it's great to have another source of income that's not directly related to what the teams or what the ownership decides when it comes to your contract or when it comes to getting on new teams every year. I mean, esports is extremely volatile. You really don't know when you're going to get on a new team and if you're going to get that next contract a lot of times. So having some money from, either your coaching or maybe you're just streaming and maybe you're doing YouTube is really important. And this is something you need to work on from day one when you're in high elo, because the other part of it is it makes you like front of mind. It makes it so that people will think about you, because if you're streaming every day or streaming, most of the time, coaches, other players will watch your stream. They'll notice you when they're making decisions on rosters. You'll come to mind. Oh, I was just watching Solo the other day and he's playing. Like, what about him for a fit for our team? It's also big for your own fan base. And a lot of teams and ownerships really only they'll go on Reddit, and if you're talked about, they'll pick you up, and that's the reality of it. Being popular with the players or being popular with the fans is extremely important, because if you're an ownership, you need fans, and why would you not pick a player who is already bringing in a fan base as opposed to a player who just plays the game? And that can give you the edge when it comes to getting onto squads, and that can give you the edge when it comes to lot opportunities. The last part of it is you are going to have to retire at some point. Everybody becomes washed or just kind of like gets burnt out from the game. And if you want to have a post esports career, it's really important that you have some type of presence, some type of fan base. You can go into some staff position later on. You can go into broadcast, or you can just be like a full-time streamer, which is also like, really fun because you get to play video games. And I think that it's really overlooked and hard to get people to get on it, because when you're starting out your career, you just want to play the game. But I cannot implore you enough to really just turn on the stream. You don't have to be a big entertainer. You just have to, be yourself. And I think that's really important. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you have your own kind of advice for people starting out their esports career, then go ahead and leave a comment down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.